homeschool, but you don't feel like you can, or you just don't want to quit working, to quit pursuing your profession, to quit contributing economically to your home, the image that we often see of homeschooling is a stay-at-home mom whose number one job, which is a full-time job, is caring for her home, caring for her family, and educating her children. But for some of us, we may feel the need or the desire to continue to work while we educate our children at home. And I'm here to tell you that you can do this. Today, I'm going to tell you how I have made working and homeschooling work, and I'm going to give you some advice on how you can do this as well. Hello, welcome to my Familia Homeschool. My name is Marissa. I live in Miami, Florida with my husband and my 3 children. On this channel, I love talking about all things homeschool and all things motherhood. So if that is something that interests you, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you can join us in the future. As I mentioned in the beginning, today I'm going to be talking about how I have made working and homeschooling a possibility for my family. And I'm going to tell you some ways that you can make it work for yours as well. Now I'm going to start off by telling you how I've made this work for my family. I am a legal proofreader. So if you've seen those court shows and you see the lady that's on the show writing down everything that's being said in the legal proceeding, I work with them. So they transcribe everything that is being said between the witness and the lawyer. They write it all up and then they send it to me. I open up the file on my iPad and go through it and mark it up just like a teacher. I don't change what is being said because it's all verbatim, but I go through and I add in punctuation, or maybe there's an error where the there was spelled T-H-E-I-R and it should be spelled T-H-E-R-E. So I do this all from my iPad. Usually I either work before the girls wake up, after they go to bed, or during their rest time in the afternoon. In the past, I've worked at parks while they're playing when I've had extra work that day, so really the possibilities are endless. On the weekends, I work while we're driving since we spend a lot of time in the car, and it's just really been a great work opportunity that has fit great with homeschool. So let's talk about how you can make this happen for your home. My first tip or piece of advice kind of goes hand in hand with how working at home has worked in my family. Finding a job, finding a profession, finding a way to work that includes flexibility can help a whole lot. This isn't to say that if you work outside of the home or your work requires you to be available at a certain time of day, this doesn't mean that you can't do it too. But having a job that's flexible, where you can work whenever and wherever, really does help. But if you have a job where you do need to be available during the day when you are with your kids, being able to organize your responsibilities in responsibilities that you need to have 100% attention, trying to save those to times where maybe your kids are more occupied, and having responsibilities that are a little more mindless for those times where you're probably going to get interrupted. My next tip of advice is to embrace a relaxed homeschool style. When we work from home, there are times where things come up. There are times where I get sent a transcript that a client needs that same day or needs the very next day. And so all of a sudden, my workload has increased by a whole lot. On those days, I may need to move around our homeschool schedule. I may need to open up more spaces for independent play. We all know that those spaces of independent play are just as important as any curriculum that we're doing, so our kids are not missing out at all. But having a more relaxed homeschool schedule can help us in this journey of working and homeschooling. Find ways for your kids to work independently. There will be school subjects, most likely, that they will need your one-on-one attention. But there are other things that your kids probably can do a little bit more independently. I know some families will write down in a notebook the things that their kids need to accomplish in this day. This helps them to get up and get ready in the morning and start working on their daily tasks without having to have a play-by-play from you. How this works in my family is I leave a few pieces of our curriculum out on the table the night before for my daughter to begin working on independently. For us, this consists of Explode the Code and her math curriculum, and sometimes maybe 1 or 2 other things. This helps her to wake up and start chipping away at her daily tasks while I'm able to finish up some of my work. My next tip is offer your undivided attention and presence when you can. When we're juggling, working, and homeschool, our attention is often divided. But when you finish up your work, when you're able to turn off the iPad, close the laptop, to put the phone away, I encourage you to do so. These are great opportunities to pick up those read aloud books, to sit together on the couch, and really give your kids that one-on-one attention. Communication is key. Make sure to communicate. We have to learn how to communicate with our children, to communicate with our husband. This is so important and something that I'm continuing to learn. Most of the time, our husbands want to help us, but if we don't open our mouth and communicate our needs for that day, they have no idea what we need from them. So make it a habit of having that daily check-in where you talk about the daily schedule, where you talk about what your work schedule is going to look like for that day, where you talk about ways that they could help you. Communicate with your children. Talk to them about what your expectations are of them that day. Have a daily meeting, maybe at breakfast, and talk about what your work schedule is going to look like and what that means that their homeschooling schedule is going to look like. We already know this, but communication is so important. Involve your kids in the daily tasks. Big kids can learn how to cook. Now, this will require some time from you in the beginning, teaching them and training them. But once they've got it down, what a blessing this is. Kids of any age can be part of taking care of the home, of cleaning, of organizing, of picking up. When we involve them in these tasks, this frees up time for you so that when your daily work tasks are over, you have more free time to give them that one-on-one attention. My next piece of advice is to keep craft materials, activities, fun games in a place where it's easily accessible to them. Some examples of this could be Play-Doh, paints, markers, paper, board games, Legos, blocks. Keeping these kinds of learning activities on their level encourages them to keep their brain moving even while you're busy at work. Find your support system. I know a lot of moms who work outside of the home will lean on grandparents. This is a great option that we don't have. We live really far away from our families. But if you have this option, take advantage of it. I know moms that work as nurses and their kids homeschool at grandma and grandpa's house a couple days out of the week. I know other families who alternate schedules with their husband. So maybe dad works night shift and mom works day shift, and they switch also homeschooling tasks during those times. Maybe there's another family that homeschools as well, and your kids could go over to their house while you're working, and you could switch up so their kids can come to your house while they need to work as well. Juggling the responsibilities of working and homeschooling does require some creativity, but having a supportive community helps so much. Don't forget to take care of yourself. This is something that I'm working on, that I'm learning how to do, especially having little kids and little babies. Sometimes this looks like 10 minutes in the morning to breathe and drink your coffee. But prioritizing self-care, whatever that looks like in this season, is so very important. In this season, that might be 10 minutes to drink your coffee in the morning, or reading a book that you enjoy, or eating something all by yourself that is really delicious. But don't forget to schedule in that important time to fill your own cup. And my last tip is probably the most important. Remember why you're doing this. Working and homeschooling and juggling all those other responsibilities is probably never going to be something that I would describe as easy. But when it is the best for your family, it is so, so worth it. I encourage you to write down your why. Keep it somewhere where you can see it daily. So on those days where you feel worn out, when you're asking yourself, why am I doing this? You're able to look back and remember why homeschooling is so important to your family and why working and homeschooling is the best option, at least in this season. I hope this video was helpful to you and to your family. I hope it was encouraging for your homeschool journey. If it was, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you can join us in the future with My Familia Homeschool.